Welcome to another edition for Financial Streams. We're just providing some information with Andrew. Welcome, Andrew.
Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. So today we just thought, well, it was meant to be the start of the year. It's probably into February now before we got one out for a video. But yeah, just thought new year, start setting some goals for the year and unpack the process you go through to assist people identifying what their goals are going to be and how to achieve them.
Yeah. So I suppose what I tend to do is, I suppose from a financial planning point of view, we love goals because they're generally, they're a need or something, they're an outcome that you're wanting to achieve, and there's generally a need for a financial bucket of money.
Yeah.
And
so something tangible, I suppose.
Something tangible that you need.
Buy a car, buy a house.
Buy a house, buy a car, go on a family holiday,
yep.
Buy your your dream retirement van to go around the Northern Territory or those type of things. So they're great to have because of the fact that you can put a dollar value to them, and then there's generally a time frame that you need to think about how you deliver on that. Normally, most people, if you sit down and have a discussion around what their goals are, they need a bit of help, a little bit of massaging it. So what I tend to do from our point of view, Financial Streams, is unpack it a little bit further and dig a little bit deeper with people and start with a bit of a conversation around what's important about money to you. And
it's a really open question, that one, isn't it?
Really open question. It's designed really to just to open up the dialogue and have you've got a husband and wife there and they've generally probably haven't really discussed money a lot.
Yeah.
And,
or it's a source of tension or different philosophies or different upbringings of how they were trained to value money or not. So
correct, and get them to talk about money together, and then talk about some similarities in what they're wanting to achieve. And ultimately, out of that, identify some financial goals that they want to achieve. So it's a bit of a discussion, a bit of a process, and I like to do that from a workshop point of view, and I treat it as a bit more of a workshop, a bit more interactive. Just so at the end of the day, we need to flesh that out so we can come to some good decisions about what we do next.
And that involves identifying, when you sort of have that open question, about money and importance. Where do you typically find that conversation can go?
So most of the time people have desire to meet. If you ask someone about money and what's important to them, first of all, they want to pay the bills. They want to put food on the table, and they want to look after their family and their children. And
you're bringing Maslow's
hierarchy of needs into it, which is a really wonderful, I suppose, analysis of how we develop our needs over time. But what we're trying to do also is get people to a point where they're really committed. And they are thinking about what they're wanting to achieve from an emotional level as well. So they get a bit of an emotional buy-in.
And buy-in's really important. It's nothing. People don't want to be told. Have information jammed down their throat. It's important that they own the process and understand what the strategies that might end up and where they're leading to.
And so, to go on a family trip to the US, go on on holidays on a regular basis, annual holiday, they're things that are, I suppose, easy to define. And but then there's I want to get to retirement, but I want to have a regular income coming in I want to have less stress in my life.
Right.
I don't want to have to worry
Yeah.
and those things.
Yeah.
And that's where what you're looking for is a financial outcome that is probably a little bit more untangible.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not just all about money.
Yep.
And it's about delivering a lifestyle or delivering a peace of mind in someone's life.
So you talk about this workshop. Can you unpack that a bit more in terms of the process or what the elements involved?
Yeah, I've got a worksheet that I use, and I go through. I suppose I break it down into, which is always a good process to have: short-term needs,
Right.
medium-term, and long-term.
So short term is the next, I suppose, months type of thing.
So I look at short-term as being in the next, 3 to 7 years.
Oh, okay.
in my view.
Yep. So it's quite a bigger picture, long term game plan you're developing here. Okay. Yep.
And that's all, I suppose, in my view, when I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to sort of, okay, how do we end up with a solution that's responsible for that client?
Yep.
Yeah. So short term can be 1 to 3 years. I like to work in that 7-year arc.
Okay.
Yeah. Medium term's a little bit longer than that. It's probably, in my view, it's probably. So if we wind back a little bit, say if you're in your early 50s, and I'm saying, well, a medium time goal might be to get yourself through to retirement, and these are the things that we want to do. Longer term might be into your retirement years, into your golden years, and so forth.
And is there anything magic about that 7-year sort of horizon?
I think, in my mind, it gives you enough time to make some critical change with people, and also if you're looking at from an investment point of view, it enables you to be able to achieve that goal with using a few tools, and especially in this low interest rate environment. Short termism is hard to achieve if you're recommending investments that might need a bit longer time horizon.
Less than 1% on your term deposit or
Yeah.
cash at bank, so it is a longer term game plan to accumulate wealth, I suppose, for what you want to try and do. Yeah.
So, what are the things that we're trying to achieve? We try and name them, give them a bit of a name.
Okay.
So as I said, some of the simpler things that capital purchases that you want to do are easy to name, and then there's the longer term things that might be more aspirational. But we give them a name just so people can own it. Okay. Break out the time frames. Yeah. Yep. It's really, really important because there's things that times is just solves most problems.
Yeah, you're spot on there. I mean, people can get overwhelmed looking at the short-term picture sometimes, and retirement and other long-term events just seem miles away for a lot of people. Yeah. But there is the old adage, people can sort of often overestimate what they can do in the short term. I'm trying to cram too much stuff in my life in the next week or month or day or whatever. Yeah. But they really underestimate what can be done over that sort of 5 to 7 year horizon if they keep chipping away at something, whether that's
correct.
Putting an extra X dollars a week into superannuation account or things like that just add up over time, don't they?
That's right. I suppose probably a good example of that is I've had a recent couple who are in their 50s. Yeah, they're trying to their goal, the whole goal is I want to clear our home loan debt. Right. Yeah. And it's something you just can't wave a magic wand with. Yeah. But it is something that you can do incrementally if you're thinking about how you plan to retire debt by a certain time. You can make some really good gains over a period of time. But when you start to break that down and you look at that, what's the time horizon that we're looking at, and what can we do? Yeah. You feel like you're actually owning the problem and getting on with it, and actually solving it. But it is an epiphany with clients just to give them a bit of an understanding of how soon and how we can get things done in a time frame that's achievable. Yeah. So so we've talked about that. Talked about time frame, short term, medium term, long term gains. Really naming up the goal that they want to achieve, and that's where the workshop comes into play, and the workshop is more about pressing buttons and asking questions, and everyone's different about what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
So that's hard to explain today because it's really about where does the conversation head. And
Yeah,
what
we'll
things
unpack that in future sessions.
Yeah,
Some of
but
that
that's
unpacking.
something that we do. But really naming, I mean, we can always name. I want to own my own home.
Yeah.
We want to have our dream car by a certain age.
Yeah.
We want that camper van. And those
So that
sorts of
example you
things.
gave of paying off your home loan is sort of a common goal, I'm guessing, that people would have
Yeah.
towards pre-retirement planning and,
Yeah.
and getting to that point.
Yeah. And then there's other goals that we talk about that people won't normally articulate, but they want that goal, and it's, everyone wants to pay less tax and those type of things. But how do you articulate that as a client? So we kind of talk around those concepts and help clients make those decisions on how we do it.
Yeah.
And once we've defined that, let them own it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, from that point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the workshop, I was just not walking around answering it. It's just really it is a bit of a guide.
Key themes coming out of that.
Yeah. And what then I can take away from that is what is the solution? What's the action plan and the steps involved?
Most important, must somewhere in that discovery or workshop process get to say, okay, what change are you going to make in your life or your financial sort of commitments that you're doing?
Correct. Yeah. And at the end of that, our industry is driven by, I suppose, having a tangible goal that we can fund or we know how to deliver, and then what are the steps that we can do to deliver that over a period of time.
Yeah. So in summary then, so start of the year, it's having those, utilising someone like yourself to facilitate that, especially when you're husband and wife or partnership. It needs to facilitation, spit that out. Or if people would just take their time themselves just to reflect on where they're at. And I suppose some of the key things is that, mapping out those time frames and they can be quite lengthy, and to sort of have that patience, the dripping tap approach that, you keep chipping away at something and things will happen for you.
Yeah.
Give people that sort of hope, and then, put that into action at some point in that process.
Yeah, and keeping things interactive and fun. That's the financial planning can be fun. Of course, it'll be really dry and quite. Yeah,
but I suppose the beauty of going to someone like yourself is that there is an accountability partner, if you want. That myself and Jenny can have a chat, and we can sort of roughly come to a bit of a plan ourselves. But with having that external party that you're accountable for to come back and how are we tracking? I think that's an important element of what you provide here at Financial Streams.
That's it.
All right. Well, that's a bit of a wrap for today, but we might use this bit of a foundation and unpack some of those elements as we go through in future sessions.
Yeah, and we'll try and keep the sessions as fun and as concise as possible. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.